Okay, I am here with Jamie Rose, Rose Matchmaking.
That's right.
From rosematchmaking.com. Excited to interview with her because a leading matchmaker for the greater area of Houston. When you work with women, they give you checklists basically of what they're looking for. But have you noticed any difference as far as what men look for and what women look for in a heterosexual dating?
I would say when someone comes to a matchmaker, they've kind of they've already gone through everything. They've exhausted all of their other avenues. And most of the clients that I meet with, Renee does a really good job at pre-screening them out. So these are people that say, I'm here, I'm ready to do this. I know I want to meet the right person. And I typically start my meeting with past, what they did in past relationships, what they're doing for dating now, and then future, what they want for their future. I would say this is very common. You know, my clients come in and of course, they want all of those mundane things. Like I want someone who's honest and loyal. Those are all given.
And these are the women that are specifically, or everyone? Okay.
Everyone, whether they're male or female. You know, you have to be open to these experiences. And if you're not going to be open, you're cutting your pool to like a really small sliver. You know, we may have 500 ladies for you to look at, but when you get this specific, we may have 5. So you have to be more open to experiences. But most of the time, the clients are open. They come to me and they're like, "You're the expert. I want to have your guidance," obviously. If they don't let me do that during the time we're working together, I'll typically call them and say, "Why did you hire me if you're not going to let me do my job?"
So this would be basically the process that you create for them is to, you know, do the interview, do the pre-screening, do the interview, and then, you know, implore the importance of, you know, openness and just allowing the idea of creativity in a new experience.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, the steps would be, they pretty much have to fill out this form. Everyone fills out the same form.
Okay.
First page is about them. Second page is about what they're looking for. And then I take notes, and I pretty much don't talk for about an hour and just keep taking my notes. And then towards the end of that hour, I'll know, is this someone that I can match just by getting to know them? Do I have people already in the database that would be a good fit for them? If I can't think of like 10, 20 people off the top of my head, then I won't take them on as a client. So I have to keep my numbers really high when I look at the end of the year and I'm like, okay, last year we had an 84% success rate.
Okay.
I can keep my numbers that high by keeping the pool very, very, it's just quality over quantity.
Right.
And so I do that by knowing my clients, knowing my database. I'll show you an example.
That's wonderful that you're very open to wanting to connect to your clients so that way they can connect to whomever you create for them.
Yeah, and you have to be truthful. Like in the beginning when I first started my company, I was like, there's someone for everyone. And I kind of, in some cases, would bite off more than I would chew, and I could chew, and that kind of made me realize that there might be someone for everyone, but that doesn't mean that I have to take on everyone as a client.
Right.
You know, that's kind of our typical client, someone who they really don't have problems getting a date. They can go and find their own dates, but they're looking for, you know, the one, and they don't have time to do that necessarily. This is a new male client, so like the 2 people I just showed you, they might be a really good match for each other. I'm trying to actually work on that one right now. But this is my typical male client. He's 41, business owner, very successful. They don't have to have tons of money. I like his smile. He didn't do the crazy. Sometimes people overdo the veneer type thing.
Well, he seems like he's, you know, got a real
genuine
smile. Yes,
he's a cool dude. We're actually all meeting, my entire staff are meeting him for lunch tomorrow because we're doing an event just for him.
Okay.
And we do these events I'd say about every 2 or 3 months. Like these are 2 books from 2 events that we did. Typically we pick 4 or 5 new clients that we're going to highlight.
Okay.
And then we start scouting for them. So we don't actually, these are people that are not in our private database. These are people that we open up a casting call to. So you get a lot more response since they're not actually paying. They do have to have a background check run, criminal and civil. And we have to do a casting party where we meet them all at once, and then we have them like fill out little questionnaires. We take pictures. Like this last one where we had the women come, we had about 75 ladies show up to the casting party. It's good for press too. Like sometimes we'll have it, you know, Fox Air and stuff like that. And we pick the best ones for our clients based on what the clients are looking for. And then I explained to them that the way I do my matchmaking is backwards. It's not going to be like they're doing when they go out and meet someone. I'm going to pick the person for the right reasons on the inside. You have the same long-term goals. You have enough things in common. I feel that you have personality types that would create chemistry. All of the criteria, family-oriented, she wants kids in the future. I don't want to be married right away. I want to date for like a year, travel the world. So these are things I listen to.
Okay.
Then I look for physical appearances and say, yes, I feel like they would be attracted to each other.
Okay.
And it has to be in the realm of what they've asked me. So I never go outside of the realm. I go for what's making sense. And I just tell them it's my job and you have to let me do it. And
Right.
so they have to be open to all that stuff.
Okay. So, I've noticed that you have some, testimonials on your website. Are those recent?
Those testimonials are a little, I'd say, dated, but most of the most common ones are going to be on Facebook, like the most recent ones.
So for Facebook, is it under Jamie Rose or is it on Rose Matchmaking?
It's under Rose Matchmaking.
Okay.
If someone needs, like, let's say I have a client who it's really important for them to hear from other clients and they want to hear just, brand new testimonials, I'll typically get like brand new just feedback from a brand new client. Maybe I matched them a week ago, or I matched someone on their very first match and now they've been dating like 6 months, and I'll ask them to write me an email and include their phone number. I'll get about like 4 or 5 of those, and then I'll send that to the client because I want them to be really fresh. And typically we'll have some type of good feedback every single week. We're getting like brand new stuff.
What's one of your favorite ones so far that you had, you just absolutely love telling people?
That's still the story of Rick and Jill. So Jill was already a client. She, I think I'd been working with her about a couple of months, and she was getting a little like discouraged. She's a tall lady. She's like 5'11", and she really wanted a guy 6'2" and up. And I was looking in the database and not really finding what she was looking for, but there was a guy, Rick, who worked in the same building as me, and he owned an oil and gas consulting firm, and he was like 6'4", totally her type physically. And I actually forced him to have a meeting with me, like trapped him in my office. And he was like, you know what, I tried It's Just Lunch. It was a horrible experience. I'm just not open to paying for a service right now, but I would love to meet her. She looks perfect. They had like so much, they both didn't drink. They both were like, they just did not drink at all, like completely did not drink, which sometimes for in dating purposes, if one person drinks and the other person doesn't on like a first date, it can create some tension. So I understood. They both loved fishing. They both loved outdoors. She has a home in Denver, in fact. He has a boat. Both just, I could like tell that they would like go together, and personality wise, they're both like very open and goofy. So I told him jokingly, I said, okay, well, I really want you to meet Jill. If you pass my background check, I'm still going to connect you guys. I just need a couple of photos. I just have a feeling. If you marry her, I said jokingly, then I won't charge you a penny. Like I just said, we'll see how it goes with her, and then we'll hear back from you. Well, about like, it was like a couple of months after I'd matched them and I didn't hear back. And I thought that was really weird. And typically when you don't hear back, it's either really good or really bad. Like there's no in between. And finally she sends me a text message and she is like, oh, Rick and I are in Vegas and we're just kind of like hanging out here. We're going to stay for a week. And I was like, okay. And then a few months later, I got a client, a referral from Jill. I think it was about 6 months after the fact. Yeah, they got married like 9 months later. So a referral comes in and she was like, I'm friends of, Rick and Jill. She just got married. I went to her wedding and I was like, Rick and Jill. I was like, oh, that Rick and Jill? And I was like, I didn't know that. And so I went on her Facebook and I saw that her status had changed from single to married. And I was like, and so I sent her a message. I was like, thanks for telling me, and she was like, it's just been crazy. We've been traveling. We're so happy. And they ended up doing a segment with me. I think it was on Channel 13, and they went to their house and filmed everything and talked about their whole experience. And that was like a really cool marriage that I had made because I didn't know until it was so late, into their into the match. So it was really cool how that one happened, and I really like them. They're a really cool couple. So.
It sounds like a very fun story.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Good one to have. I did notice that you offered relationship coaching or relationship, counseling.
Yeah.
Now, do you do that, or do you have somebody that
It depends. We have a couple of different levels, and this is what I show the clients at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
Basically, everything in here is what they get in their folder, all those white folders back there.
Okay.
And this is pretty much like step by step, what they need to do. Once they're a client, these are the next steps. Basically, I kind of keep it like how it is in the real world. The men have to call the women, the men have to plan the dates, even though they're both paying members. I still want the guy to set it up so he still has and there's some chase involved because it's got to be there.
Then men love that anyway, so
They do.
And women love to be courted, so
Exactly.
that's a good thing that you've kept it that way,
I think
because
so.
it almost enforces them both, men and women, to play the role that they're meant to play
Yeah.
as in a heterosexual relationship.
I agree.
Because for most women, they're definitely, we are, especially as business owners, we're definitely more the go-getter.
Yeah.
And this helps create the environment for them to just lean back and be the
Be
girl.
the lady.
Yes.
I think so too. I actually, the client I had this morning, he actually was like, how does it work? Are we just going to get an email and both of our numbers are in that? I'm like, no, you have to call her. You have to call her within 48 hours of me giving you her number, and I make sure to do that so they feel like, okay, this guy's serious, and he should be serious. And then I just say, after you've had your date, please follow up with your matchmaker, and we ask that each client, both parties, sends in a feedback form, and this is kind of what we're asking each client. Not after every single date, like if this person's gone out like 7 times, we don't need to know after every single date, but after any new match and after any changes in the relationship. So we ask them, where did you guys go? How did you leave things? Pretty much, would you like to see this person again? And if not, why? And then we're going to share that information with the client. So if the female client tells me he was constantly texting on his phone, had it out on the table, kept looking and looking all night, and I don't know who he was texting, even if it was like his children, maybe there was an emergency at home,
Or business, or even...
Then they should, that they should tell them, hey, here's what's going on, and not constantly text. So we pretty much, I say we make it man-proof, like the process. There shouldn't be a lot of room for error. We give them all the rules and tips for men and women on the first date. It's pretty simple, all the basic stuff, like don't get too sexual too soon. I say limit your alcohol. Balance the conversation, and I tell them, don't tell your whole life story on the first date. A good place to meet, you want to have dinner, and it's really important to kind of set the mood. I say unequal attraction. If you kind of feel like maybe you're really into her and she's not that into you, you don't want to push it. You want to tell me, and then I'll give the client that feedback to give them the green light or the red light.
Okay.
We don't want to make it
confrontational.
or awkward. And then I say focus on your date, and I also tell the clients, when it comes to modern technology, only text if you're running late. Don't text you can text like, hey, when can I call you? Is after 8 okay? But don't be texting before you've met that person, like little stuff. It's going to be creepy. And then don't text until you get to know that person, until you're in a relationship, because most people, especially 50 and up, they don't really like it. So, and then this is a list of restaurants. Like we tell them, here are some really great restaurants within the city, 4-star, 5-star dining, or just some trendy stuff, not too loud, places to avoid if they want to do something adventurous. But we say do that on a second date, not a first date. So basically, once we get that feedback, we'll know where to go, and then we'll either have to go back to the drawing board, or we'll be able to have them just focus on each other and just date themselves. This is Dr. Jill Payne, and she is a relationship specialist. I've been working with Jill for about 2 years. It is included in my packages, so basically when they become a client, no matter which program they choose, and it depends on their price level. If she's a school teacher, she's not going to be able to afford, she may not even be able to afford this. I may have to do a discount or whatever.
Right.
So it depends on where that client is, in their lives financially and stuff. But with every program, I do include coaching and counseling with Jill. If they don't need intense counseling, or if they already have a psychiatrist, or they're already going to a relationship coach, then I still prefer that they meet with her. But if they're like just not just adamant about not doing it, then we just keep her on the back burner. After a couple of dates, they may need to go see her. If we've heard something that's just, it's constant, the same, let's say the phone example is coming up on every single date I send this person on, then that's an issue.
Have you noticed that there's a difference between counseling and coaching, or do you know?
Yeah. The meeting that Jill does typically, she calls it a tune-up. It's a relationship tune-up. She spends about an hour with the client, and she'll give me a full PDF report. They have, of course, to sign some stuff to let them know that we're going to be discussing this. But the way she explains it is, if you've got this classic car and you haven't driven it for 10 years and you take it out of the garage, of course, there's going to be some bangs, and who knows, there may not be any gas left in it. And she's like, so that's the concept with the client. I want to make sure that they've had a relationship tune-up, that they're not going to let the past affect their future, which is really important for me. If someone dated someone with kids in the past and maybe it didn't go so well, they may come to me and say, I don't want to date anyone with kids because of this, not because I don't like kids. So it's really about talking about their future, to not let it affect the now and I'm sorry, talking about their past, not let it affect the now and the future.
Right.
So, and yeah, there's a difference between coaching and counseling. She does the more intense stuff because of just my time constraints right now. I used to do it myself in the beginning, but now I've got like over 800 clients and they all have my personal cell phone number. So, yeah.
So if you were to have, let's say some people that are listening to this when I put it on my website, and they're out of state, but they're absolutely, enamored with your skills and your matchmaking. If, let's say, they're in Oklahoma or they're in, Tennessee, is there, opportunity still for them, or?
Yes, there's, I work with it's called the Matchmakers Alliance, and all of us certified matchmakers are a part of this circle. And basically, I have this in my agreement too. It says that if I'm looking for a national search for this person, that they're going to let me talk with other matchmakers. And we typically, we share clients. So like my matchmaker friend in Austin, Julia, we talk weekly, if not, definitely monthly basis. And she may say, hey, I've got this guy. He's got a home in Houston and a home in Austin, like a hill country home. And he goes back and forth. Do you have someone that might be open to that? And then she gives me the criteria. And we do that matchmakers on a national level. It can even be done worldwide, where there's a company I work with often in the UK. And sometimes with the oil and gas people, they're coming here often. I get people from Russia. I get people from Australia.
Wonderful.
So it's pretty diverse. I prefer to meet both parties and pre-screen them myself. But if that doesn't happen, like if I'm working with another matchmaker on a national level, then we just have to have a really, really deep discussion to make sure that that we know who our clients are and what they're looking for, because it's a little bit tougher when you're going off of someone else's judgment and based on what they're looking for. But all the matchmakers on the Matchmaker Alliance ring, most of us have been matchmaking for 10 years plus.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you, taking the time to interview with me. Is there anything else that you want to share with the listeners, or?
I would say if anyone's looking into matchmaking, I always tell them to just do their due diligence. If they're meeting with a matchmaking company, one of the things that I tell them to do is to make sure that the person that they're meeting with is the person that's going to be matching them. That's a flaw in a lot of the matchmaking companies. The person you meet with could be a salesperson. They're never going to talk to you ever again. They're just there to sell you, and then they're done with you. So they have nothing to lose. They're just there to take your money pretty much. If I have to talk to you on a weekly basis, I can't upsell myself. I can't tell you things that aren't true. So I tell my clients, just make sure the matchmaker you're working with, if you're looking for a real matchmaking service, is the actual matchmaker. Because it's really important. As I'm expanding, every single person that I have working for me as a matchmaker is going to be someone that I trust 100%. So it's really important to make sure that that they are working with an actual matchmaker and not a salesperson, because that's not a good sign. So.
Wow. Well, what would be some advice that you would give a woman who is just walking into matchmaking, who has no idea what they're doing, and they're feeling so discouraged with the dating field?
I tell everyone that matchmaking is like the lottery, like you have to play to win, and to keep their options open and to try to do as much as you can. And I also tell my clients to come outside of their circle. I always tell them, you're going to the same place to get your hair cut, you're going to the same grocery store, And if that right guy doesn't come into your little circle, how are you ever going to meet them? So I tell them to do things that they normally wouldn't do, like take a cooking class or go to a singles event. Like do these things on top of whatever they're doing, because it's not going to hurt. It will never hurt.
Right.
So I always tell them just keep their options open. You know, try doing more than your normal thing. You know, they have to play to win, so do everything, is what I say.
I love that.
Thanks.
I really appreciate you taking the time. So I'm going to go ahead and end this call, and thank you, Jamie Rose, with
Thank you,
Rose
Christine.
Matchmaking.